What is up, ninjas? Today we're going to talk about how to create ultra targeted audiences that are going to skyrocket your skills. One of the epiphanies that I had as I became better and better at Facebook advertising was those who target best win. It's very simple. You can have the best product in the entire world, but if you show it to the wrong people, or more importantly, you don't show it to the right people, they won't buy it. And it's really as simple as that. So in this module, we are going to talk about how to create laser targeted audience that do one thing and one thing alone, which is drive more sales, get you more profit, and more importantly, get you lifetime customers, because those are the ones who are the most kind of beneficial for your overall company. So how we do this, guys, is we define our audience. And a lot of other people and teachers and gurus and Facebook advertising experts and advertising experts in general create all of these avatars describing your customer down to the actual like age and location. Like, her name's Susan and she lives in Ohio and she has 3 kids, and that's one way of doing it for sure. But it's not the way that I do it. And the way that I do it is much more kind of efficient and new age and kind of a fitting to this era. Because we have so much data available to us, we don't have to, try to create these like so-called avatars of our perfect customer, because that inherently has a lot of guessing. You have to actually guess about their age, guess about their gender, things like that, when all of the data is there, and you just have to know how to look for it to then define your audience. Targeting and audience creation, guys, is just where the profitable advertisers set themselves apart. Again, remember, Facebook advertising is as much of an art as it is a science. And so this module is going to be a lot more about how to kind of unlock that art of defining your perfect audience, understanding what tools are available to you to find your perfect audience, where to find the data, how to make sense of the data, how to apply the data. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. And, more importantly, guys, we're going to go through a lot of examples actually using, these tools and these methodologies and kind of getting you into the mindset of how to define your perfect audience, because it's impossible for me to go over every single type of business in the world. I wish I could. But, what we're going to do is we are going to, metaphorically teach a man to fish rather than give him a fish so you can be able to, feed himself for life. And so the first thing that we want to talk about is with any of these advertising campaigns, what we can do is actually start to target people. And the way that we target people is actually in this section here where it says detailed targeting. So this is one of the most important sections. This is one of the sections, where you're going to be split testing based on a variety of different interests that people are interested in. This is where you're going to be split testing on demographical information. This is where you're going to be split testing on behavioral information. So we see right here, add demographics, interests, or behaviors. And again, some of this information I would argue is also demographical behavior, age, gender, language, and things like that. But this is one of the most important sections of all of Facebook advertising. And so we're going to go through it right now, and we're going to talk about some of the most important things and kind of how to look through this section for yourself and start to get your wheels turning and the cogs moving as to how you can actually apply these detailed targeters to your own business. So let's say, just for the sake of example, that we wanted to target someone who was selling maybe like a high-end kind of exercise bike for somebody who wanted to lose weight. So how would we do that? How would we kind of put ourselves in that mentality, and how would we really start to target them? And we're going to talk more about really how to hone in on this later in this module on using audience insights and using like the page likes and Google Trends and things like that. But let's just use a bit of logic kind of just to get ourselves in the mentality of how this works, right? Because what detailed targeting is, at the end of the day, is how you're telling Facebook who to show your ad to. So if I'm selling like a high-end exercise bike, who is my, just logically, who is my perfect target customer? It's probably somebody, and by high end, I mean like an expensive exercise bike, like a premium one, right? And so I'd probably be targeting people who are, in a larger income range, like a higher income bracket. I would probably be targeting people who are had shown some type of interest in weight loss, for example. And then there's other ways to target people who are a little bit more affluent, right? Like if they have premium credit cards, for example, or if they're above average spenders on credit cards and things like that. And so what I want to do with this example is kind of illustrate, a demographic, an interest, and a behavior that we can target, right? So what does an interest actually mean? Literally what it means from a detailed targeting perspective on Facebook is somebody has shown interest in a Facebook page. And so like if I was going to target people who wanted a high, a premium exercise bike, then I'd probably want to target people who are interested in weight loss. And how do I know that somebody is interested in weight loss or fitness, right? Let's think of some things. Like the first thing that comes to my mind randomly is just like Slim Fast, right? So Slim Fast, the drink, and what this means is people who have expressed an interest in or liked pages related to Slim Fast. So we can do this one. We could do, personal trainer. We could choose like one of the most popular personal trainer here. We see an interest here being Chris Powell, who is apparently a popular personal trainer. And something that's important to note here is the difference between fact-based and algorithmically based. And so, like, for example, people can go and actually like this person's page. Chris Powell has an actual Facebook page, and he's a personal trainer, right? So if we went to Facebook and we actually typed in Chris Powell, then his page would come up, right? So here he is. He is, obviously a very popular personal trainer, has 1 million likes, and things like that. So he's a real person. If I wanted to like him, I'd have to go to his page and I'd have to actually literally click the like button on his page, right? And so this is fact-based. Someone actually went out of their way to go click this button. What is algorithmically based is personal trainer, right? There is no Facebook page called personal trainer that someone actually goes out and likes. Facebook is making an algorithmic assumption here that someone's interested in personal training based on their browsing history. So it's a very, very important distinction to make, because I never use algorithmically based interests. So you don't want Facebook to make assumptions. You want fact-based. Someone literally has to go to Chris Powell's page and like his page. That means that they are interested for a fact in Chris Powell, the personal trainer. Personal trainer, right? If it's very generic, if it's general like this, it says people who have expressed an interest in personal training, right? Don't let Facebook make those assumptions for you. Choose the ones that are fact-based, right? People who are actually, like Bob Harper is a personal trainer. Sally Matterson, again, here's a good one, certified personal trainer. Oh, this is an employer's. Jillian Michaels, this is one that's fact. People actually have to go like her page. Here's another couple other examples. Again, this is probably the best example for an algorithmically based. So I like to do actually fact-based interests. So we're going to choose just those two. So this means that I'm now only going to show my ad to people who have expressed a fact-based interest in the Slim Fast Facebook page and the Chris Powell Facebook page, fact-based interest, right? And then if I wanted to target somebody who, had a demographic, maybe a little bit higher of an income, then I can just type in income here and it's going to show me some. So if I want to target people who are, have a little bit more money, people who have an income over 500 grand, right? And you can target people who have, lower incomes, medium incomes, or however you want to determine that, right here. But we're going to target people who are a little bit over the average as far as of income. And so something that's important to note here, guys, is right now we have 3 interests we're targeting. We're targeting people who have over 500,000 income, who have factually liked Chris Powell, and who have liked the Slim Fast page, right? These are facts-based. I'll show you another algorithmic base just so you guys have like an idea. So if we type in like health, right? So we see like right here, health and beauty as an interest. There is no Facebook page that is health and beauty, right? This is an algorithmically based assumption that people like health and beauty based on their browsing activity. But if we like, for example, health, the magazine itself, right? So if people actually have to go to the magazine and click like on the Facebook page, then that is a fact-based. And so we like to stick with fact. But just something that I want to talk about really quickly, include people who match at least one of the following. So this is really important, right? So right now we're targeting people that have over 500,000 income, or like Chris Powell, or like Slim Fast. But if we wanted to be much more specific, right? So we see that our reach, here, let's put him back, Chris Powell. So we see with these 3, our reach is 1.6 million people, right? This is the total number of people who either have over 500,000, or like Chris Powell, or like Slim Fast, right? But if we take these out, and we want to make a much more refined audience. Instead of having them or, we can do and, right? So what we can do is we can narrow audience. So this says include people who match at least one of the following and must also match at least one of the following. So now if we put Chris Powell, it went from 1.6 million to 1,400, right? So only 1,400 people like Chris Powell and also earn over 500 grand, right? So this is this is an incredibly smaller audience, like literally, 0.1% or whatever it is. So obviously his audience doesn't generally have in this income bracket. And so if we put in, slim fast here, now it stays at 1,600. But if we take out 500,000, right, it jumps up to 650,000 people who like Chris Powell or Slim Fast. And so that's just kind of a little, something that's important to recognize, that whenever you type anything in here, like Slim Fast, not the real Slim Shady, Slim Fast or Chris Powell, right, these are ors. And then if we put in, making over 500,000, then we're back up to the 1.6 million because this is making over 500,000 or liking Chris Powell or liking Slim Fast. So it's actually making our audience larger instead of narrowing the audience by clicking here. And so that is kind of an example of, an interest right here. This is an example of demographics, right? Earning over 500,000. But what if we wanted to find like an actual behavior, right? So if we type in credit card here, we can see some interesting stuff. So we can see that we can actually see behaviors here. We can target people who have high-end department store cards. We can target people who are active credit card users. We can target people who have premium credit cards, right? These are amazing ways to really target people based on their actual behaviors to be able to kind of hone in even closer on what we want our target audience to be. So for our example, we're targeting people who are affluent, right? Who are interested in weight loss and who are likely to purchase our high-end bike. So if we type in purchase here, we can actually see purchase behaviors as well. People like look at how detailed this is. People who have purchase behaviors who like food and drinks, sweets and snacks, and chocolate candy. You can literally target people that are that. You can target people that fine-tuned. You can target people who like alcoholic beverage. People who like who are impulse purchasers, which is a great one for e-commerce. But we might want to target somebody who is an active credit card spender, for example, and maybe we want to target them here. We're just going to do active credit card user, and we see this is a behavior. So 125 million people now because active credit card spender is a huge one. But let's do must also match that they like cycling. Right, so we're going to choose USA Cycling. Right, because I almost chose cycling here, but cycling is, you guessed it, algorithmically based, and we're not going to do that one. We're going to choose USA Cycling. So that brings it all the way from 125 million down to 52,000 people. So now we're targeting people who are affluent in a higher income bracket, are interested in personal trainers and Slim Fast, obviously meaning that they are interested in losing weight. They're an active credit card user, meaning that they're comfortable using their credit card, buying things on the internet, because we're going to be selling these high-end premium cycling kits on the internet, and who also likes USA Cycling. And so we can even narrow this down even a bit further, and we can put, what's a good bicycle brand? We can do Trek Bicycle Corporation. So now it's people who like Trek Bicycle Corporation, USA Cycling, are interested in Slim Fast and Chris Powell, have over 500,000 in income, and are active credit card users, right? And so this is just kind of a general introduction, guys. We're gonna go much deeper into targeting, specific things like, how to target if you're a real estate agent, how to target if you, own a small business, how to target if you own a bar or a restaurant, how to go into very specific details of how you can use these detailed targeters. I just want to, use this kind of this first video to get you kind of introduced to how it works, where you're going to be spending most of your time here in the detailed targeting section. And we're going to go into some, amazing little hacks that I've figured out over the years and through, millions and millions of dollars of spend, kind of to what works, what doesn't, kind of where to focus your time, where not to, why it's more important to focus on fact-based interest rather than algorithmic, a lot of just different things that I've kind of figured out over the years. And so that is kind of your general introduction to the detailed targeting section, guys. And remember, we can actually, combine this, thousands or at least hundreds or thousands of different demographics, interests, and behaviors from Facebook, but they also have, third-party partners. They partner with people to bring data in on income, on, all different types of information where you might be thinking, how does Facebook know how much money I make, right? But Facebook buys data from third-party data providers like credit bureaus and things like that, where they literally can aggregate just an unimaginable amount of data about people, but which is good for us because it allows us to target, our perfect customers. It's a little creepy, but it is what it is. And so I hope you enjoyed that one, guys. We're going to be able to target age, gender, languages, things like that. And then in combination, we're going to be able to add our custom audiences here, or our lookalike audiences. And so it really starts to synergize into a beautiful kind of thing when we can have our lookalike audiences here that we created from our custom audiences, our source audiences, our seed audiences, right? Maybe 1,000 people visited our page. We made that into a lookalike audience. We populate that lookalike audience here. Then we narrow it down to a specific age range, to specific genders, to specific languages based on the data that we're getting from Audience Insights and Google Trends. And then once we do that, then we narrow it even further for our favorite, our most targeted interest or two. And then we can split test on different interests and on different things like that, guys. So I'm just trying to get the wheels turning. I promise we're going to get into it and show you how to create amazing ads from scratch all the way through using custom audiences, using lookalike audiences, and using all types of interests, demographics, and behavior, guys. So I hope you enjoyed that one. Let's get to the next.